What's up, everybody? Let's Talk Jets Radio. Happy reporting day. The New York Jets arrive in less than 2 hours. We finally made it. What a long off season. Obviously, a lot of great stuff to talk about. But just the anticipation for football and being able to see Rodgers in a Jet uniform up close, the wait has just felt like it's been forever. So finally, this Thursday, first practice, first one open to the public on Saturday. I'll be there Saturday, Sunday. So hopefully get to meet up with a lot of you guys. A few things to look for as the Jets report today. This might be a longer video, some topics. But the first one being the report from yesterday about HBO's Hard Knocks potentially being limited by the Jets in terms of certain access. And Boomer and Gio were actually talking about this morning. And Boomer's first quote was, "Man, are we soft now?" in terms of talking about the Jets not wanting to dehumanize players and showing them getting cut, which personally, I think is a good look for the Jets. It shows that they have their players back. They don't want to humiliate anybody. It's not like, reality TV, American Idol, and things like that, where, you're voluntarily going on TV to either win or lose something. These are all guys that are, competing for their livelihood, trying to, just to make a roster spot. And showing their dreams getting crushed. I mean, it's good television, I guess. It's entertaining, but you still got somebody that's just having their dreams completely shattered. And it's a tough thing to see, and I'm sure a lot of players don't want that shown on television, and I'm sure a lot of guys in that locker room absolutely respect the Jets for stepping up and trying to limit it. The one thing though that Boomer brought up was that, whether or not this does become a distraction if HBO reaches out to the NFL and says, the Jets are required to do X, Y, and Z. Now the Jets aren't cooperating. Now you got all this back and forth. Like if the Jets are ultimately spending all this time and energy, being paranoid and trying to limit certain things for HBO, then does it become a distraction in your own mind because of all that wasted energy? I think that's the only thing that you really worry about. Otherwise, it's mostly a veteran locker room that's used to the spotlight, that's used to the cameras. So I really don't see it being a distraction personally. You can look at the 2010 team. They went to the AFC Championship game. A lot of guys, I think, actually, got careers out of that. Damian Woody, Bart Scott. I think they really benefited from all that media attention. So next up, you got Will McDonald and Joe Tippmann right now still unsigned. Very weird that it seems like the Jets are almost always one of the last teams to get their first round pick signed when the deals are pretty much done. It's really just a matter of figuring out certain language regarding guarantees. So for both players who aren't guaranteed to start, it's going to be an uphill battle, I think, if they do miss significant time. Hopefully both deals are done today and this isn't talked about again. But you do have McGovern, who's a veteran. If him and Rodgers develop chemistry early on, it could be tough for Tippmann to win that job. Same thing for McDonald, who's got guys like Huff and Jermaine Johnson in front of him. So you want to be in camp as soon as possible and just learn the playbook, get those reps under your belt, and start to develop a comfort level. Next up, you got Rodgers. Still no restructure yet. As of right now, his cap hit for next year is over $100 million. All the whispers are that whatever restructure is done, it's going to be team friendly, possibly with a 3-year commitment as well. And I think that's honestly what takes a little bit of the pressure off of this season. Like, yes, expectations are through the roof. I expect the team to compete for a Super Bowl, but feeling like Rodgers is committed to this thing for the long haul. He's got the chip on his shoulder. He's motivated with the change of scenery. Like, I feel like as long as he's protected and his body holds up, we're gonna have 3 cracks at this thing, and the timelines actually work out perfect. When you look at AVT, Brees, Sauce, Garrett, Jermaine Johnson, now Quinnen Williams signed for the next 4 years, actually 5 years if you include this year. All these guys are locked up, and pretty much other than Q, they're all on rookie deals at a reasonable price. With DJ Reed maybe being the one free agent that you could trust is going to be here for the next 2 years. So the timelines work perfect. Where Becton's draft class, probably nobody that's worth re-signing there. And then all your veterans, Corey Davis, Lawson, Tomlinson, Uzama, Conklin, Mosley, JFM, like all these players, I think have enormous pressure on them this year because, they either have expiring contracts or the Jets can save a ton of money by cutting them next year where there's not a lot of guarantees. So, whatever holes the Jets do have, you're still going to be bringing back a top level quarterback and a young core that should only be getting better next year. So this should be an attractive destination for free agents as long as they make a competitive run this year. So I feel like the team next year should only be even better because there's going to be opportunities to add some free agents and add some talent. So I'm just ready to enjoy this year, to get behind this team. I'm ready for home games to be exciting and have some energy. There's really no excuses, I think, for the fans now. The energy in that building should be unlike anything we've seen in that stadium so far. We can absolutely make a difference. Some other things to watch: Breece Hall. Where is he at? Do the Jets need another running back? I do think they're going to proceed with caution there, just because we're not going to see him in preseason, and what level is he going to be at for week one if he's not 100%? Do you wait a couple weeks? Is IR a possibility if you think it's going to be week 4 or 5 or something like that? Because ultimately you just want to see the best version of Breece by December. If there's any concern at all about him holding up for a full year after surgery, 17 to, cross your fingers, 20 games, then go get Cook. Up the offer. There's money available. To me, it just makes too much sense not to have some insurance there. Obviously, you want to see what Carter can do, what Zonovan Knight can do. To me, those guys are good depth, but not really a true number one. And if you're not sure if Breece Hall is going to be at that same level that he was at last year, go get Cook. Otherwise, health of the offensive line, definitely something to watch for. Managing reps, what kind of trust level is there in Mekhi Becton? What kind of comfort level does he have on his knees? Mentally, is he accepting playing right tackle and embracing it? Dwayne Brown, where's his shoulder at? AVT off the torn triceps, where's that at? It's like this offensive line has so much potential. I feel like if everybody's healthy, but there's still so many questions, including who's gonna be your center. You need Tomlinson to rebound off a terrible year last year. So a lot of talent if they do get everybody playing up to their capabilities. And then you throw in the quarterback to be able to keep defenses honest. Where it's like this was an offensive line through the first 7 games last year. In the fourth quarter, they completely took over games, and that was with Zach Wilson and Joe Flacco out there. So you throw in Rodgers, and you can pretty much pick your poison and beat teams however you want in the fourth quarter. So a lot of pressure just on this offensive line, I think, to stay healthy. If they do, I think their talent will show, and Rodgers will definitely help with that. Enormous pressure, I think, on Saleh this year too. The defense took massive strides last year from worst to top five. I felt there were some flaws that did get exposed a little bit in the second half. They did benefit from some backup quarterbacks early on, struggled a little bit late in the year getting off the field, extended drives where it felt like they would bend but not break, yet the offense was just sitting on the bench for 20 minutes, which doesn't really help anything. I think safeties and linebackers are going to get tested a ton, which is why I would love to have Quan Alexander back or at least some other veteran to compete with Jamie and Sherwood. And, how does Saleh adjust this year as well? The first sign of adversity, how does he keep things together? First time Rodgers comes off the field pissed off, how does he handle that? These are all things that he's going to be tested with that he really hasn't been tested with in the past. And I've always said he's likable. I think the players coach aspect is good. I think the players like him and respect him to an extent. But can he be the X's and O guy? Can he truly lead this team and maintain respect when things get messy, which ultimately comes from winning? Winning those close games and battling through that adversity. And guys ultimately getting to get their numbers as well helps. But ultimately winning solves everything unless you have an Elijah Moore situation. And I think you have a lot of leadership in that locker room, a lot of guys that truly do want to win, including Sauce, including Garrett. Like, these are young guys that, they have that instinct. It's all about football with them. So they want to win. They want to do it the right way. And as long as you're winning, I think that'll solve everything. And I think it'll make Saleh's job a lot easier. And lastly, in wrapping up, I think you got to acknowledge the man who's put it all together. Aaron Rodgers is not in a Jet uniform. It's not even a possibility, I think, unless the team went into Green Bay last year and did what they did. And that's all credit to Joe Douglas. Rodgers saw a young team with explosive playmakers, a dominant defense that was basically a quarterback away. And that doesn't happen without the 2 trades of Jamal and Sam. Through those 2 deals, the Jets landed AVT, Garrett Wilson, and Breece Hall. And those are already your best 3 offensive players. That's your core. Without those players, it's scary to think about where the offense would be right now. And if it would be enough for Rodgers to say, yeah, you know what, I'll take a chance on the Jets. So I think those trades ultimately gave the Jets a young identity, and Rodgers got to see it up close. And knowing what a Super Bowl in New York would do for his legacy, I think he wanted it. And now you still have money to add to a team that just appears loaded. So this is cool. Players arriving soon. Stay tuned for updates. Talk to you guys later.